Welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis. And today we are talking more about Barenaked Ladies. Last week, I did a review of their new album, In Flight, and that kicked off what I have since decided will be, in essence, a month of Barenaked Ladies. We're going to talk top 10 singles today, top 10 album tracks next week, and then I'm going to either do a full album ranking or their top 10 albums the week after. Cool? Cool. Quickly, I want to talk about why I like Barenaked Ladies. I mentioned some of this last week. I will also mention some of it next week and the week after. I apologize. I'm not assuming that anybody out there is such a rabid fan of my videos that they're watching all of these back to back. I like Barenaked Ladies because, number one, they write catchy tunes. They're easy to hum along with. They've got nice, memorable riffs and guitar hooks and all that stuff, which I'm a sucker for. I like them because they are witty lyricists for the most part. I have a very soft spot in my heart for what I think of as comic music. I'm not the only one who thinks of it as comic music, but you know. And a lot of what Barenaked Ladies has released qualifies as comedy. They are not simply comedic. There's some art in here as well. But even when they're being serious, they still have a tendency to be wry and witty in their lyrics, and I appreciate that. And then finally, they are excellent musicians. They are not, Ed Robertson, for example, is not a guitarist who's ever going to set the world on fire with his shredding solos or anything like that. But they are good, solid musicians, and I would argue Jim Cregan is among the better bassists that you're going to find working today. I think he's a stellar bassist. I think Tyler Stewart is a well above average drummer. Kevin Hearn is an extremely talented musician. And Ed is a very good rhythm guitarist, very controlled guitarist, which I respect the hell out of. So I like these guys. I've seen them in concert several times. It's one of my favorite concerts to go to. I've got all of their albums. I've listened to them all many, many times. I am a huge fan of Barenaked Ladies. So today, like I said, I'm going to give you my top 10 singles. These were all singles that were released in Canada and the U.S., and all of them hit, at the very least, the top 40 in Canada. Some of them also hit the top 40 in the U.S. Some of them were top 10. And for those of you who are steeling yourself, no, we are not going to talk about 1 week. I mean, apart from the fact that I'm sure Ed has, established college funds for his kids and his grandkids and his great-grandkids just off of the royalties from that alone. Ready? Okay, let's jump into this. Before we get into it, we've got to do the subjectivity notice. Artistic appreciation is inherently subjective. There is no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is only art that I like and art that I do not. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's instructive and it's entertaining. As soon as one or the other of us starts thinking in terms of right and wrong, that's when everything goes down the toilet. So let's not do that. Let's remember this is all a matter of taste. Now, with that being said, like I said, these are my 10 favorite Barenaked Ladies singles. Okay? I'm not saying they are the 10 best. I'm saying these are my 10 favorite. And this was not a particularly hard top 10 to generate. Next week when I'm doing the album tracks, oh man, I'm having a hell of a time with that. But this week with the singles, I'm able to do it. Coming in at number 10. Written by Stephen Page and Ed Robertson from their debut album Gordon from 1992, we have If I Had $1 Million. You can't have a top 10 list of Barenaked Ladies singles without If I Had $1 Million. I'm willing to sacrifice 1 week. There are a lot of people who don't like 1 week. I'm largely ambivalent towards it myself, but we can't skip If I Had $1 Million. We got to have that one in there. So, number 10, If I Had $1 Million. I love performing this song, particularly when I'm playing with a band. because it allows for improvisation, which I'm a huge fan of. Number 9, from their second album, Maybe You Should Drive, from 1994. This one, written by Stephen Page and Stephen Duffy, is Alternative Girlfriend. I love Alternative Girlfriend. It's a nifty song. It's got a nice guitar riff to it. It's got, as all of these songs do, witty lyrics. Love Alternative Girlfriend. Number 8. This is off their third album, Born on a Pirate Ship, from 1996, written by Steve and Ed. Was released as a single, hit the top 10 in Canada. I don't believe it charted in the United States, but I think it is one of their better singles. Obviously, it's in my top 10. It's at number 8, and that is Shoebox. Shoebox is probably most familiar to American audiences who aren't dyed-in-the-wool Barenaked Ladies fans, because it was featured in the background in an episode of Friends, the one where they've got two parties, where Monica and Rachel are hosting a party in their apartment, and Chandler and Joey are hosting a party in their apartment, and there's a lot of back and forth, and it's playing at Joey and Chandler's party because they've got the cool party. Shoebox, number 8. Coming in at number 7, also off Born on a Pirate Ship. This was a top 40 single in Canada and in the U.S. It was their first top 40 single in the U.S., and it is The Old Apartment, another song that I enjoy performing. It's a standard in my set lists. I love the song. I love the poignancy of the lyrics, but I also love the humor of the lyrics. How is the neighbor downstairs? How is her temper this year? I put on your TV and stomped on the floor just for fun. I love that. Number 7, The Old Apartment. Coming in at number 6, something of a dark horse among the singles, the top 40 charting singles that they have. From their 2003 album, Everything to Everyone, we've got Testing 1, 2, 3, which was written by Stephen Page and Ed Robertson. It hit the top 40 in the U.S. It, as far as I can tell, it did not chart. It at least didn't hit the top 40 in Canada. Interesting, for whatever that's worth. But I've always liked Testing 1, 2, 3. I think it's the shining light on Everything to Everyone, which is not a bad album, but it's not their best either. Spoiler alert for when I do the album ranking. Coming in at number 5, the song that started it all for me, off of their debut album from 1992, Gordon, written by Stephen Page, that is Brian Wilson. I told a brief version of this story last week. The first I ever heard of Barenaked Ladies, I was watching television one afternoon, channel surfing, and managed to land on a music video channel. It had to have been VH1, but I honestly don't remember what channel it was. But I managed to land on the channel right at the beginning of the video when the information about the track was still on the screen, artist, title, album, and all of that. This was the video that they made for the version of Brian Wilson that they released from their live album, Rock Spectacle. And I stopped because I'm a huge Beach Boys fan. Ooh, Brian Wilson. What's it? And I loved the song. Fell in love. The fact that he wrote that when he was still in high school just makes me want to put my head through the wall. Some people, they're just too talented. But number 5, Brian Wilson. Number 4, was not quite as big a hit in the U.S. as 1 Week, but very close to, from their album Maroon in 2000, written by Stephen Page and Ed Robertson. We have Pinch Me, another song that once I figured out that little acoustic lick at the beginning, worked its way into my set list. I really like Pinch Me. It's a fun song to sing. Coming in at number 3, the song that started it all for Barenaked Ladies. It was their first charting hit, and it's their version of Bruce Coburn's "Lovers in a Dangerous Time" from the from the 1991 Bruce Coburn tribute album called "Kick at the Darkness." They released it as a single off of that album, or the song was released as a single off of that album. Hit the top 40 and cemented the likelihood that they were going to be able to get their first album done. And it is a very good song. I like Bruce Cockburn's original, but I also like this. They changed the tone of it a little bit, and it's a good, solid Barenaked Ladies song now. Okay. Number 2 and number 1 are both very closely placed. I struggled that hard to remember the word placed. Jeez Louise. There's not a lot of distance between these two. Okay, they are both really strong songs, and generating this list of 10, deciding which of these was 1 and which of these was 2 was the hardest decision I had to make. So it's entirely possible that you call me a couple of days from now, a couple of weeks from now, and I may be waffling. I think this is the way they go. I may waffle. I give myself waffling rights here. Both of these songs are from that second album, Maybe You Should Drive. A lot of songs from Maybe You Should Drive on this list. I wonder if that's a spoiler alert. Coming in at number 2, hit the top 40 in Canada, and it is, I think, just a wonderful little song. It's Life in a Nutshell, written by Stephen Page and Ed Robertson. I really like Life in a Nutshell. I think it is it's got a good bouncy tune. It's got a nice, sweet lyric. Oh, Life in a Nutshell. Songwriting in a nutshell. But my number 1, with waffling rights, from Maybe You Should Drive, was the biggest hit off of Maybe You Should Drive. Hit the top 10 in Canada, and that is Jane. One of the prettiest songs they've ever recorded, and just a gorgeous song. Andy Cregan plays, I believe, a dulcimer in the background in that thing, and it's just, it is gorgeous. It is a lovely song. Really like Jane. And those are my 10 favorite singles that hit the top 40 chart, either in the Canada, either in Canada or in the United States. Some cases, both. What do you think? Did I miss the mark? Did I hit the mark? Drop that comment down below. I always love hearing from you. As always, thank you very much for sticking it out this far. If you enjoyed the video, and since you're listening this far in, I'm assuming that you enjoyed it, I would appreciate it if you'd click the like button. Go ahead and click the subscribe button and the notification icon while you're clicking. Why not? It's free. Thanks again for watching today, and I hope that the rest of your day is entertaining. See you soon.